The camera was already recording when it happened, midday, heat rising from the African savanna. Nothing unusual at first, just dry grass, moving with the wind. No one was searching for anything. It wasn't an expedition. It wasn't an investigation. Just routine footage, captured like any other day. And then, something appears where nothing should be. Not emerging dramatically, not announced. Just there, inside a landscape that moments before felt completely ordinary. The animals react first. The stillness shifts. The rhythm of the scene changes in a way that can't be undone. This is happening now. And whatever was filmed out there doesn't come with an explanation. White Watcher. The wildlife camera had been recording for hours. 4:12 a.m. A remote alpine valley covered in a thin layer of snow. Nothing unusual at first, just trees standing still in the cold before sunrise. No one was searching for anything strange. The team checks these cameras to monitor migration patterns. That's all. Then something small steps out from the tree line. About 50 centimeters tall, compact body, white fur like an Arctic hare. But the face doesn't match. A narrow muzzle, dark eyes, long ears moving independently. It walks closer, slowly, calm, and then it rises, fully onto its hind legs, front limbs lifted, almost like arms. It holds the posture for 19 seconds, staring directly into the lens. Not startled, not confused. Aware. Then, it drops back to all fours and disappears into the fog. The scientists reviewing the footage had no classification for it. Locals call it the White Watcher. Pelican 7. The aerial drone was already in the air when they reached the platform, 92 kilometers off the coast of Louisiana. An inactive oil rig, abandoned since 2021, rust spreading across every beam. The NOAA patrol was there because of unusual pressure readings. The report said non-tectonic activity. No one expected more than faulty sensors. One diver climbed the side staircase first. That's when he saw it. Something had risen above the waterline, gripping the corroded structure. At least 4 meters from torso to head, skin rough, layered with calcified nodules, like it had grown into the seabed. The abdomen looked almost human, but twisted. No visible eyes. Just a vertical mouth, lined with triangular teeth, open toward the sky. It didn't move. Below the surface, shapes spiraled outward, like drifting roots. Then the water changed color, iridescent, spreading slowly along the metal pillars. The pressure instruments failed at once. Galway shoreline. The storm had passed before sunrise. Nothing severe, just wind and rough water along the rocky coast of Galway. When it cleared, a few local photographers walked out to capture seabirds and whatever the tide had dragged in overnight. Padraig noticed it first. Something lodged between the black rocks, where the waves kept breaking. At first, it looked like debris. Then it moved. No one had gone there, expecting anything unusual. Just routine morning shots. But the body was long, plated, covered in reddish scales, that caught the early light like worn metal. Along its sides, blade-like ridges. No clear head from that angle. Only an upper structure opening and closing slowly, producing a low hum. Each wave made it tremble. Padraig started recording. Then the air shifted. Heavy. Dense. The microphone stopped picking up sound. 13 seconds felt suspended. With a sharp crack, it launched backward and slid into the sea. Hydrothermal field. The submersible camera was descending through black water, 2,400 meters down, near an uncharted hydrothermal vent field. It was a routine survey. Temperature gradients, mineral flow, nothing unusual expected at that depth. Then something moved beyond the thermal plume. It came into view slowly, massive, armored in thick, bony plates, like an ancient marine reptile, a long muscular tail ending in a vertical fluke, limbs shaped like heavy paddles, the head elongated, jaws lined with conical teeth. Faint light pulsed from its eyes. No one had sent the ROV looking for life that size. It circled the machine once, calm, controlled. Then it stopped, hovering in the dark, as if studying it. 19 seconds. The jaws parted slightly, revealing a second row of teeth, deeper in the throat. With one sweep of its tail, it vanished into the vent's rising heat. Later, sonar picked up 3 similar signatures moving together. Huron Plains. The emergency call came in just after sunrise. Something large had crashed into a turbine at the Huron Plains wind farm in Kansas. Police and fire crews expected debris, maybe a small aircraft. Nothing more. No one arrived prepared for what was there. A massive figure stood over the fallen blade, more than 3 meters tall, dense gray feathers, wings spread, wide enough to nearly touch the roadside. The beak was curved and black, sharp but unfamiliar. The posture wasn't injured, it was steady. The other turbines had stopped turning. No visible mechanical failure. An officer sent up a drone. The creature lifted its wings fully and released a low cry. It carried no sound through the air, but seismic monitors registered a frequency spike. Vehicles nearby began resetting their systems. It didn't attack. It didn't move. It stayed there for 27 minutes, staring into the clouds. Then it rose straight up, silent, gone. Weddell C, the research vessel. Alcira 4 was navigating through drifting ice in the Weddell Sea, western Antarctica. The crew was investigating magnetic anomalies near a newly mapped underwater fissure. It was routine work in extreme conditions. -2 degrees. Pink haze on the horizon. No one was looking for anything on the surface. Then someone pointed toward the ice. About 80 meters away, a dark figure knelt on a floating platform. At first, they thought it was a seal, maybe a stranded person. As the ship drew closer, the shape became clearer. Humanoid torso, black, wet, scaled skin, a rigid fin rising from its back, hands with thin membranes between the fingers, the face almost blank, large circular eyes, a vertical slit where a mouth should be. It wasn't moving, just breathing. When it turned its head toward the ship, instruments failed. Radar picked up something massive below. The figure slid into the water without a splash. The ice began melting where it had knelt. Deep wreck site. The ROV was surveying a 19th century shipwreck, 2,300 meters below the surface. It was a standard deep-sea documentation dive, sediment mapping, structural scans. No biological anomalies expected at that depth. Then the lights caught movement beyond the hull. Something large drifted out of the darkness. The head came into view first, broad, armored with bony plates like a crocodile fossil. But from its crown extended thick, muscular tentacles, 8 of them, moving slowly in the current. At the center, a beak-like mass lined with rotating teeth. No known lineage combines bone-armored reptiles and cephalopods. It hovered in front of the camera. Not aggressive, just present. The tentacles flexed gently as if testing the water around the machine. Its eye followed the ROV's lights without blinking. No one had sent the submersible looking for predators. After a few seconds, it turned and faded back into black water, leaving the wreck untouched. Bayon Coast. The tugboat Andre IV was conducting a routine inspection near the rusted hull of a cargo ship, abandoned since 2009 in the Bay of Biscay. The sea was calm. The area had long been labeled a dead zone. Heavy metals, almost no surface life. No one expected movement. As a crew member lowered an aquatic drone, something brushed softly against the cargo ship's side. At first, it looked like driftwood. Then it moved upward. It emerged slowly, clinging to the metal with gelatinous limbs. Thick, mottled skin marked with circular patterns, like impressions from the seabed. Its head was large and uneven. One eye sealed shut, the other sunken and reduced. From its forehead arched a long appendage, ending in a green, phosphorescent bulb that glowed even in daylight. It stayed upright, almost still. Sensors on the tug registered a sudden 5-degree drop in water temperature. When someone reached out with a pole, the light intensified. The recording later revealed a low, slow hum. Pelican 14. The student team from the Lafayette Institute had lost contact with their ocean drone near an abandoned oil platform off southern Louisiana. The structure had been inactive since 2003. Officially, corrosion. Unofficially, no one talked about the leak. No one climbed up expecting anything alive. As Elijah Moreau and another engineer reached the deck, the GPS signal glitched, briefly reading negative altitude. The metal floor was wet, not rain, dripping salt. A metallic impact sounded beneath the scaffolding. Then it appeared. It didn't swim up. It climbed, long arms pulling its weight over rusted steel, skin covered in pale nodules, like clustered shells. Deep lacerations along its back leaked something dark, almost purple. Old rope and rotted netting hung from its body. A rusted bracelet swung from one limb. When it raised its head, thin filaments trembled where eyes should have been. The vibration it released shook the platform. The recording cut. Yukon tundra. The thermal cameras had been set up to monitor caribou movement during extreme cold. Northern Territory. 3 days passed without activity. Then, one unit detected motion near the edge of the boreal forest. Slow, heavy, but the heat sensor showed nothing. That's what caught their attention. When the team reviewed the footage, they saw it moving across the snow on 4 limbs. The proportions felt wrong. White fur, matted with frost. The face long and narrow, no visible snout. Sunken cheekbones, completely white eyes. No thermal trace followed it. It walked in a straight line, claws pressing into the snow without leaving a heat signature. Not bear, not primate. Something between. Chiloptera. The ROV was descending through black water at 1,500 meters. It was a standard deep-sea survey, current mapping, seafloor imaging. No one expected a new species, just sediment and rock formations. Then something glided into the lights. At first, it looked like a ray. Wide body, smooth movement. But as it tilted, a rigid shell caught the beam. A true bony carapace, shaped like a turtle's back, fused seamlessly to manta-like wings. The motion was fluid, controlled, deliberate. Its tail trailed behind, long and whip-like. At the tip, a faint glow pulsed in the dark, subtle but steady. No known turtle swims like that. No ray carries a shell. It circled the ROV once, maintaining distance, as if measuring it. There was no panic, no sudden burst of speed, just quiet awareness. The team later named it Chilopa Abbyales. It vanished downward into deeper black. Nautilus 03. The autonomous submersible was mapping a fissure opened by minor seismic activity. Routine structural survey. Irregular rock walls coated in fossilized coral. The remote operator angled the lights toward a narrow tunnel. That's when something shifted inside the frame. Not rock, not shadow. A body. Pale gray skin, wet, textured like a cephalopod. The upper half almost human in shape, but smooth. No hair, no visible mouth. Where legs should have been, thick tentacles anchored against the tunnel walls, leaving circular impressions in the sand. The drone's propellers hummed. Sonar registered internal vibrations, not from the figure, but from the surrounding rock. It turned its head. No eyes, only soft slits, beneath a thin membrane reflecting the light. Then, a low frequency spread through every channel. Controls stopped responding. The main beam went dark. When the drone resurfaced hours later, only 2 minutes of footage remained. Pedra Alta runway. The biologists had placed wildlife sensors along the abandoned airstrip to track native species returning to the Atlantic forest. The pavement was already breaking under vines and moss. It was early, sunlight barely crossing the canopy. No one expected anything standing in the open. One drone triggered an automatic alert. The camera, positioned inside a rusted cabin, captured a figure in the middle of the runway. Small, compact. Dark skin stretched thin like bat wings. The head too large for the body. The jaw fused, almost smooth. It looked child-sized until the wings opened. Reddish membranes, semi-transparent, pulsing faintly in the light. It didn't move toward anything, just swayed, as if sensing vibrations. The cabin glass began to crack. Not from impact, from resonance. Right before the drone failed, the creature turned toward the lens. Where eyes should have been, there was only a wet, opaque membrane, reflecting the sun upside down. The files corrupted immediately after. Sector 9, B. The alert came in as a thermal glitch inside an abandoned cargo port near the Mexico-US border. One autonomous patrol drone detected movement inside a sealed container, listed as empty for over a year. No one expected anything alive. When they forced the rusted doors open, they found a reinforced steel cage bolted to the floor. Burn marks spread beneath it. Inside, something crouched. Yellowish skin, almost translucent. Humanoid in outline, but wrong in symmetry. 4 limbs ending in blade-like extensions. From its torso rose a rigid spine, lined with moving spines. It was breathing. Its eyes were wide and wet, glowing faintly, without any visible source. Agent Pacheco extended a sampling rod. The creature released a shrill vibration without opening its mouth. Cameras distorted. The system reset. 2 hours of footage vanished. On the floor nearby, another container showed signs of rupture from within. Symbols marked the inner wall. Rural Livestock Center. The sky had been gray all morning. Heavy air. Workers at the corral kept hearing dull impacts before sunrise, but no one thought the sound was coming from beneath the adobe walls. Then a support beam cracked. It rose from the ground, with its neck bending in an impossible arc. Not snake, not bird. something between. Thick dark scales layered like corroded metal plates. The head elongated, a segmented beak flexing slightly. Red, wet eyes blinking in uneven intervals. No one had been searching for anything outside the ordinary. The sound it produced wasn't a hiss. It was deeper, like stone scraping inside a tunnel. You could feel it in your chest. It pushed against the metal gate with strength that didn't match its narrow body. A woman kept filming as others stepped back. The scales along its neck shifted color, dark green to dull gold. On her screen, its pupil tightened to a single point.
Stay ready, we are not cutting that chain.
H-A12 platform. The inspection crew arrived at the abandoned drilling station in the Gulf of Oman, expecting corrosion reports and structural scans. The site had been inactive since 2009. Official maps marked it as a restricted hazard zone. The sea was unnaturally calm. No birds, no surface life. Rahim leaned over the walkway first. He shouted that something was gripping the platform from below. It wasn't rising like a typical marine animal. There were no suction cups, no fins. What reached over the rusted railing were arms, human in shape, pale, thin, 12 of them, moving separately, testing the metal with slow precision. The body remained mostly submerged, but segmented, like a massive marine centipede. The skin looked ribbed, almost skeletal from the outside. A long head pressed against the structure. No visible eyes. No mouth. Rahim's phone overheated while recording. The creature didn't climb aboard. It only held on. Then, one arm at a time, it released and slipped back into the water. Open water formation. The research sailboat was heading north when a motion sensor flagged activity near a rocky outcrop in open sea. That area had no record of large marine life. The crew cut the engines. The water was still enough to hear the ropes tapping the mast. No one had been looking for anything beyond routine data. Between the low waves, a semi-human shape clung to the rock. Scaled skin shifting color with the sun. Veins pulsing beneath a gelatinous layer that seemed to contract on its own. Where a face should have been, there was only an open cavity, vibrating with a low hum that carried across the surface. Cameras zoomed in. It wasn't climbing the rock. It was pressing into it. Bubbles rose from its back, red, brief. Then instruments failed. The compass spun and fixed downward. The last frame shows the rock alone. Central Atlantic. About 120 kilometers off the port of Vigo, a cargo ship reported a drifting container. It floated unnaturally still, corroded, but intact. From the bridge, someone noticed a shape resting on top. No one expected a living body. As the deck cameras rolled and a drone lifted for a closer look, the figure became clearer. Massive. Blue-gray skin layered with bony plates along its spine. A tail extending behind it, ending in a reptilian fin. Its chest rose slowly, as if struggling to breathe in open air. The vapor around it wasn't fog. It looked like heat meeting cold metal. Small bubbles formed along the container's surface whenever sunlight struck its scales. Then the container tilted. A heavy impact echoed below the hull. Safety buoys snapped. Radar detected a massive displacement beneath the ship, far too large for any known whale. Within seconds, the container was dragged under, leaving only a reddish wake on the water. North Wales Farm. After a week of heavy rain, the back pen of a semi-abandoned pig farm was thick with mud. One worker arrived before sunrise and found the rear gate open. The tracks were blurred. The silence felt wrong. He started recording. Within seconds, something stepped out from one of the sheds. It walked upright, thick wool covering a broad, muscular frame. But the head didn't match the body. Bald, red wrinkled skin like a vulture. The eyes blinked slowly, almost deliberately. It made no sound. Its hooved feet pressed into the mud as it crossed the yard. When it reached the wooden walkway, it stopped. It didn't look at the camera. It looked down. The mud shifted. Briefly, the figure raised one limb, as if pointing, and remained still. The video ends with the worker whispering that it wasn't alone. The gate has been found open every morning since. Open field recording. The video is short. Daylight. Tall dry grass moving slightly under a cloudy sky. A tree stands behind the figure. Nothing else unusual in the landscape. At the center, something is positioned in the grass. Its body is massive and sculpted, but unnatural. The torso is shaped like an enormous human face, exaggerated features forming the chest and abdomen. Above it, a smaller human head rises from the top, aligned where a neck would normally be. The arms extend outward from the sides of the facial